Hi there, I'm Martha Van Dam with Living Beyond, and welcome back to Therapy Trails, our session 3 of 3 segments dealing with that inner voice that often we have where we talk negatively to ourselves, especially when something goes wrong and maybe that first thing out of our mouth is something that's not so kind. So if you've been following me to this, our 3rd session, then you have been, number 1, you've been keeping that list, somehow account and somehow of how often is it happening, when is it happening. So you've been doing that more and more, and you've become more aware of more noticing and more aware of when it's happening. The next thing we did was I asked you each to get a picture of yourself as a small child and to put that somewhere that you could see it, in your car, on your refrigerator, mine obviously in a frame on my desk, as a reminder of this is who I really am, because this is a photograph of me as a child. And it helps us to remember I wouldn't talk to this child in the way that I sometimes have been guilty of talking to myself. I wouldn't talk to this child or any other child like that. So how can I keep that in my mind and think of this as the person I'm speaking with? So that was the next step. And as we allow that picture to kind of go into our mind and merge it with our habit now of being aware, then we come to the place where we can ask ourselves, would I say what I've just thought in my mind? Would I say it to that person? So you stub your toe, you run into the wall, and maybe the first reaction you start to say, "Doggone it, what?" But then I'm doing it again. Crap, I'm doing it again. Would I say this to that little child? No, I would not. And then you make the correction, even if you have to say, you know what? I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. It was kind of a boneheaded thing you did, but you know what? Everybody does boneheaded things. Everybody makes mistakes. Even if it's a big mistake, even if it has big ramifications, there still are ways out of just about everything, ways around, ways to fix. There will be a new path. And so you might have to say that to yourself. Yeah, you know what? This was a big one, but we're going to keep moving forward. So after we've worked through these things, if you're still having trouble with those automatic negative things coming to your mind, and we must focus on the fact that an awful lot of it is just habit. So, but if you've created a way and you've kind of challenged that habit and you're still having trouble, then what you want to look at is why the first response toward yourself is one that's so negative. Because think about this. Think about one person in your life that you have an immense amount of respect and care for. And so I immediately think about my grandmother. Now, my grandmother's been gone since I was 16. She died really in her 60s, gosh, probably about my age now. She died. And so I have not been able to be around her in my young and older adulthood. But I know about her. I know a lot about her, and I have so much respect for her. And you can darn well imagine that if I got the least bit annoyed, if she happened to be sitting right here with me right now, and even if she'd never died and now she's a lot older, you can still bet that if I got annoyed, I would not be hateful with my grandmother. Why? Because I have an immense amount of respect for her, an immense amount of care for her. So let's just switch that and ask, if I have that much respect and care for another someone, and I would never talk to them in those tones, what does it say about the way I feel about myself if I will allow myself to be spoken to by me in that way? Well, it kind of hints at a lack of self-respect. It hints at a lack of self-care. It hints at missing some of the value that I bring to the table. So an important piece in really dealing with, if this is a habit of yours, that's dealing with this habit of saying hateful things, is digging inside and asking, do I have respect for myself? Do I have care for myself? And then how can I increase that? So today, would you please find 10 minutes to be by yourself? I do not care if you do it in the car on the way to work, in the car on the way home, if you put your child down for a nap finally and you can get 10 minutes to yourself to go sit out on the back porch and have a cup of tea while you're by yourself. If you work all day and you're about to pick up kids on the way home, and there's just not going and there's going to be a husband in the bed with you, so there is no time by yourself all day long, then enter your office, go to the bathroom, look around, make sure nobody's about to come to your desk to ask a question. Go to the bathroom, close the door, and close the stall. And sit down. Hopefully the place where you can sit actually has a lid, but get in there where you can be by yourself. And then ask yourself the question, how much respect do I have for myself? Go a little deeper. What are things about my life that I have respect for or admiration? If you're having a hard time thinking of things that you might respect and care for about yourself, that's a clue for you. That's a clue that you might really have an issue with being able to have respect and care for yourself. Therefore, what comes out towards yourself, from yourself, not nice stuff. So I want you to dig a little deeper. Let's look for a time when you had to deal with something very difficult and you dealt with it. Look for things that you did so that you can list to yourself, well, you know what, I called the doctor. I believed what they said. I faced it. Was I scared? Yes, I was scared as all get out, but I made this phone call, went to that visit, took this treatment, whatever it is. This difficult time, this is what I did. And allow yourself to see that, you know what, I have things about me that are respectful, that somebody else might look at and see as respectful. Maybe I'm just not giving myself credit for that, or I'm not allowing myself the lovely feeling of being grateful, kind to myself about something I've done. If you're still having trouble finding something that you've done that feels worthwhile to you, then what I'm going to ask you to do is this one simple and short exercise, but meaningful. Take your hands, maybe still sitting in that room by yourself, that stall by yourself. Take your hands and ask yourself, okay, what are some good things that my hands have done? What have my hands brought to the picture? And if you happen to have a handicapped person in your life, or you are a handicapped person and you don't have your hands, do this with your feet. This is what the point is. Just find a part of your body that has somehow, some way contributed to the well-being of the world and your life. So you take your hands, and in my case, if I'm asking, okay, what have my hands brought to the table? What have my hands done that are worthy of notice? My hands have picked up and loved and nurtured 3 babies. They have loved those 3 babies through life. They picked them up when they got hurt. They patted those little backs when they were sleepy and they needed a nap, or when they needed to burp. They have rubbed faces. They have felt for fevers. These hands have rubbed my own husband's face. They've rubbed my hands have gone through his hair with affection. My hands have cooked meals, thousands and thousands of meals. I've baked thousands of cakes. These hands, when I think about it, can crochet and knit and paint and write. These hands are the same hands that drive me in my car to get here. They are the same hands that ride on my bicycle. They hold the reins of a horse to help me ride a horse. These hands rub and nurture and scratch my kitties, my cats every day. They rub and love on my son's dogs. These hands over and over and over again are doing something worth something to someone. These hands do something that's worth being appreciative. Now, I realize this may sound funky and silly, but the whole point of this is to allow you to sit and acknowledge, wait a minute, I do regularly good things. I bring good things to the table. And just like I would treat my grandmother with respect and I would give her respectful words, then I want us looking in at ourselves and seeing what is it that we have to bring to the table that is worthy of respect and kindness, and I will show myself that same kind of respect and kindness. Now, if after some of this talk, you find that you're really struggling with a sense of value of yourself, then please go speak with someone. Go speak with a pastor or a priest or rabbi. Go speak with a counselor. Go speak with some kind of person that you believe will be a wise person who will be helpful to you to make sense of this, and maybe can help you to come to a place of having more self-respect and self-care. My hope is that as you dig into the value that you have and what you bring to the table, you'll find all the more reason to believe that you are worthy of kindness and respect, and all the more reason to shift in the way that you speak to yourself, and speak to yourself the same way you would speak to someone else for whom you have great respect and care. So send me a note, a digital message on any of the platforms. I'm on all of them. Send me an email or any sort of message, and I will be glad to get back with you. I hope that this has been a meaningful series to you, and I hope that you are working with yourself to help yourself have a better habit of speaking kindly, encouragingly, respectfully to yourself. Okay, thanks and bye-bye. Looking forward to our next talk.